law of the Spirit of life in Christ Jesus has made me free from the law of sin and death. For what the law could not do, in that it was weak through the flesh, God sending his own Son in the likeness of sinful flesh, and for sin, condemned sin in the flesh, that the righteousness of the law might be fulfilled in us, who walk not after the flesh, but after the Spirit. For they that are after the flesh do mind the things of the flesh, but they that are after the Spirit, the things of the Spirit.
I can see the signs now, cause my vision's clear. I can see the devil tempted when the Spirit's near. So I'm in the scriptures daily trying to change my life. All these years of being wrong, I'm trying to get it right. Being slow to anger, trying not to pop off. Being patient with my people when they go off. All judgment has been given to the Son. So with him, I've been trying to become one. All praises till I'm done. Trying to be his faithful servant, walking in this life. Keep my foot from darkness, walking out by sight. See his faith that's been moving that mountain that I've been struggling with. I'm glad I found him. The Messiah, the Christ, that's who I do it for. To give glory to the Father, that's what he did it for. He sacrificed, laid down his life, so we can be named blameless in the Father's sight.
No longer carnality, the Spirit is leading me, through his word, my steps are ordered. Total control of me, where you lead, I follow thee, through his word, my steps are ordered.
Many are called, but few are chosen. Fighting with my flesh, trying to keep the Sabbath holy. Carnal versus spirit, the battle is real. Gotta play without ceasing, keeping his will. Cause see, we all fall short, but blessed is his mercy. Through his son, we can get it, just follow the verses. Cause sinning feel good, it pleases the flesh. But through the spirit there's life, the carnal is death. I've been drinking living waters, I'm feeling refreshed. I had to kill that old man to witness my best. I gotta study what I need to pass this test. Believing on his son, number one on the list. Now I gotta keep his law, hoping that I don't miss. If I do pray for forgiveness, don't do it again. I gotta keep my heart focused, don't follow the trend. Cause you cannot love this world when following him.
No longer carnality, the Spirit is leading me, through his word, my steps are ordered. Total control of me, where you lead, I follow thee, through his word, my steps are ordered. In the Spirit, I will follow you, where you lead me. Through his word, my steps are ordered. In the Spirit, I will follow you, where you lead me. Through his word, my steps are ordered. In the Spirit, I will follow you, where you lead me. Through his word, my steps are ordered. In the Spirit, I will follow you, where you lead me. No longer carnality, the Spirit is leading me, through his word, my steps are ordered. Total control of me, where you lead, I follow thee, through his word, my steps are ordered. And Lord, I will follow you. Through his word, my steps are ordered. Trial after trial, glad trouble don't last always. Pray for sunshine, give me a sign, there will be brighter days. I know I'm not worthy, as I pray and I weep at your feet. I ask you to forgive me, and restore to my joy is complete. You said joy comes in the morning, I'm so glad. In the morning, it'll be alright. In the morning, see you in the morning. Don't you worry. In the morning, the sun will shine. In the morning, joy is coming. In the morning,
faith of a mustard seed, you can move a mountain. Anything's possible through Christ if you don't doubt him. I know what you're going through. I was going through it too. Bills steady piling up. You don't know what you gon' do. Eviction notice on the rent. Who can I reach out to? I'm at it with sense, and I'm kinda beefing with my brother too. I don't know, I'm praying though, waiting for the morning to come. It's been darkness for a while. I don't smile cause I'm hurting inside. I keep my faith, but it's harder when your loved one's dealing with Satan. Just gotta wait and be patient. That's what the words say. I'm reading it daily. That's how I know it's gonna be great for me later. That's when the morning comes. He won't forsake you, just don't break when the trials come. Stand tall and rejoice. You a chosen one. He only chastises those he loves. So keep your faith and stay strong till the morning comes.
The trouble, it don't last always. It's gonna be a brighter day. Hold on and you just keep the faith. Hold on throughout the struggle. The trouble, it don't last always. It's gonna be a brighter day. Hold on and you just keep the faith. Hold on throughout the struggle.
O Lord, thou hast brought up my soul from the grave. Thou hast kept me alive, that I should not go down to the pit. Sing unto the Lord, O ye saints of his, and give thanks at the remembrance of his holiness. For his anger endureth but for a moment, and his favor is life. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning.
In the morning, 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 take your head
Shabbat shalom, everybody. Shabbat shalom, everybody. It's your humble servant, D-Roll the Truth Teller, back with another lesson. Cool and Priscilla Ministries. You can see I'm by myself, man. My wife had something she had to take care of today. So I pray the Lord's Spirit be with her. And but we still got to get this work done. All right. So before we get started, we're going to give all praise, all honor, and all glory, as always, to the God of this Bible, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the God of everything seen and unseen. We give you all praise, all honor, and all glory by way of your only begotten Son, Yeshua HaMashiach, or locally known as Jesus the Christ. We give him all praise, all honor, and all glory. And as always, before we get started, we're going to read this Psalms 19:14. It reads, "Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, my strength and my redeemer." All praises. Before we get started, man, I want to give a shout out, man, to those that are sending in free will donations. Just know, man, I ain't gonna call out no names, but y'all know who y'all are. And we really, really appreciate that. Just know that the free will donations are going to homeless work and studio time, any type of kingdom work that calls monetary funds. That's what those donations go to. So we appreciate that, man, and may the Most High bless your hands. All right. And you see the title of the lesson. Being favored by God comes with a job to do. I was just talking with my stepson before the lesson, man, about how, the narrative is when you being favored by God is, you got the big house, you got the good job, right? You got the bank account, I'm blessed and highly favored. I got my business, right? And that's not to say that the Most High doesn't bless his children with good things, right? But studying this topic, I come to see that a lot of time, the majority of the times, when you're considered favored, you have a job to do, right? You have a job to do, okay? And we're gonna look at these scriptures when he talk about certain folks that were favored by him that had jobs to do. For instance, we in the season of Purim, right? Happy Purim this evening. We look at Esther, right? Esther was favored, but we look that Esther had a job to do, right? And we're going to look at that a little bit today, right? Then we're going to look at another, Joseph, right? How he was favored by God and favored by man. But when you look at it, Joseph had a job to do, right? So we're just going to look at that today. Exactly what blessed or being favored by God, right, really means per the scriptures. All right. So let's get into this. First things first, let's go to Proverbs. Because we're going to look at this favor, right? Because being favored by God comes with something. Not only do you have to do a job, but it also comes with something. For example, I'm in a marriage with my wife. There has to be trust on the table. If trust isn't on the table, then the marriage doesn't work, right? So let's look at this. Let's go to Proverbs. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 3. And we're going to do 1 through 4. We're talking about being favored. Being favored by God comes with a job to do. Not just to be like, I'm favored, look at what I got, right? So we had Proverbs chapter 3. We're going to do 1 through 4. And it reads, my son, forget not my law. Keep that in mind. But let thine heart keep my commandments. For length of days and long life and peace shall they add to thee. All right. So the commandments add length of days, long life, and peace to your life. All right. Verse 3. Let not mercy and truth forsake thee. Bind them about thy neck. Write them upon the table of thine heart. Look at verse 4 though. So shalt thou find favor and good understanding in the sight of God and man. All right, so here's a stipulation right here, right? Favor comes with keeping his commandments, keeping his law, right? That's a relationship you have with him, right? You keeping his law, you keeping his statutes. Not only will you find favor from him, but he'll have you favor with man as well, right? Because he's thinking, okay, you keep my commandments, you can do this work I got for you, all right? Let's look at this some more. Let's go to Psalm chapter 5. Psalm chapter 5. We just got a couple one-hitters, and then we're going to get into the little story. We're not going to do the whole story of Esther. We're just going to look at, certain points of her being favored and why she was favored and this, that, and the third. All right? So let's look at Psalm. First, let's look at Psalm chapter 5. Psalm chapter 5, and we're going to do one verse. We're going to do verse 12. As soon as I get there. Psalm chapter 5, verse 12, and it reads, for thou, Lord, will bless the righteous with favor. Wilt thou compass him as a shield. Real quick, we're going to look at this word favor. Let me share my screen real quick to get a definition of this word favor. All right, let me get it up real quick. What is the Psalms? All right. Came up over there yet? Oh, no, it's okay, there we go. All right, so we had Psalm chapter 5, verse 12, and favor. We're going to look up this word favor, with favor. He covers the righteous with favor. All right. Can you still hear me? Yeah, go.
I was just seeing. I was about to ask you about the. Yeah.
You can hear me?
Yeah.
All right, I'll praise you. Okay, cool. Okay. We still got sound. All right. You see this though. Pleasure, delight, favor, goodwill. Here's the word that stood out to me though. Acceptance. Right? So keeping his law, statutes, and commandments, you find acceptance and favor with him. Like I said, he's like, okay, you doing what I tell you to do, then okay, I can trust you to do my work. All right, so that's what favor means. Goodwill, acceptance, will, desire, self-will. Also meaning that you're doing this on your own, right? Not because he's making you do it, because you want to do it. All right, so that's what favor means per the scriptures. All right, let me stop that. Let's get back to this. Get back to the scriptures. Let's go to Proverbs 22:1. That makes sense? Yeah. Proverbs 22:1. Proverbs chapter 22, verse 1. Give y'all the time to get there. Proverbs chapter 22, verse 1. We're talking about favor, being favored by God. It comes with a job to do. Don't mean you just get to sit back and tell everybody what you got. Look at me, I'm favored. Nah. Comes with a job to do, folks. All right, let's look at this. 22 verse 1, Proverbs. A good name is rather to be chosen than great riches, and loving favor rather than silver and gold. So we supposed to be looking for a favor with the Most High more so than silver and gold. You see how important this is, right? Let's keep this moving. Let's go to Psalms 44. Let's go to Psalms 44, then we're going to get into this story real quick. Psalms 44. We're going to do 1 through 3. Yeah, that's it. Psalms 44, 1 through 3. All right. If y'all got it, we about to read. We have heard with our ears, O God. Our fathers have told us what work thou didst in their days in the times of old. How thou didst drive out the heathen with thy hand and plantedst them. How thou didst afflict the people and cast them out. For they got not the land in possession by their own sword, neither did their own arm save them, but thy right hand and thine arm and the light of thine countenance. Why? Because thou hadst a favor unto them. You see, that's why our people was able to conquer the land, right? And hence the thumbnail of Mike Tyson, like I was telling my son earlier. Hence the thumbnail of Mike Tyson for the lesson. When Mike Tyson was in his heyday, in that ring, could nobody stop this man, right? You would pay $150 for a fight ticket and the fight would be over in 12 seconds, right? Wouldn't last around. Couldn't nobody. When you're favored by God and he has a job for you to do, it's nothing that nobody can stop. Nobody's going to be able. Only person that can stop it is you decide that you don't want to do it and you quit. Like our brother Elijah. You see? That's the when you have a work to do and he's favored by you, can't nobody stop that. You see? So let's get into this. Let's go to Esther, the book of Esther. Like I said, we in peril, right? So it's appropriate to talk about this story. However, I found that, you know, you can get a lot of things out of this story, right? Out of this Purim story, Esther story. But I think being favored by God caught my attention this year, right? Because I hear that a lot of times. Hey, I'm blessed and highly favored, right? So I'm looking at Esther, seeing as how, you know, the book is saying she was favored, but I'm like, okay, is this matching how we talking about today being favored, right? Let's look at this though. Esther chapter 2. Esther chapter 2. Was Esther sitting on the throne like, hey, he put me I'm queen of the world. I'm favored. Is that how she was demonstrating? Or did she have a job to do? Right? Was she favored by God to do a job? All right, so we're Esther chapter 2, right? Just to give you the context real quick of what's going on, King Ahasuerus, his wife, disrespected him, right? He told her to come to the banquet. She said, nah, I'm doing something else. Oh, you want to disrespect me? So basically he got rid of her, right? So now he needs another wife. So they done brought in all the fine maidens of the land so the king can pick his wife. Our sister Esther was in that flock. All right. So we had Esther chapter 2, and we're doing 8 through 9, and it reads. So it came to pass when the king's commandment and his decree was heard, and when many maidens were gathered together unto Shushan the palace to the custody of Haggai, that Esther was brought also unto the king's house, to the custody of Haggai, keeper of the women. And the maiden pleased him, and she obtained kindness of him. And he speedily gave her the things of purification with such things as belonged to her, and 7 maidens, which were meet to be given her out of the king's house. And he preferred her and her maids unto the best place of the house of the women. So the king liked Esther. So he then gave her all the purifications that she needed to get purified to become his wife. All right. Let's skip down to verse 13. We're going to do 13 through 17. Shout out to all the folks, man, that's coming on the line, man. We talking about being favored by God, man. Being favored by God comes with a job to do. It doesn't mean you just get to sit on your keister and brag to the folks about being favored, right? That's not what it's about. It's about having a job to do and understanding that it's a job to do, right? All right, so we're at verse 13. And it reads, then thus came every maiden unto the king. Whatsoever she desired was given her, to go with her out of the house of the women unto the king's house. In the evening she went, and on the morrow she returned into the second house of the women, to the custody of Shaashgaz, the king's chamberlain, which kept the concubines. She came into the king no more, except the king delighted in her, and that she were called by name. Now, when the turn of Esther, the daughter of Abihail, the uncle of Mordecai, who had taken her for his daughter, was come to go into the king, she required nothing but what Haggai, the king's chamberlain, the keeper of the women, appointed. And Esther obtained favor in the sight of all them that looked upon her. You see that? She obtained favor. One thing that caught my eye about this too, that Esther didn't require anything, right? The other women came in there and said, I want this, I want this, I want that, I want that. King was like, okay, you can have it. And they would go back to their house, and they won't come back to the king until he say, yeah, I want Susie, right? It was Esther's turn. Esther come through. Esther didn't say, I don't want anything, right? All Esther took was what the keeper of the women gave her to go in there with, right? The king favored Esther, right? So where are we at? Verse 16. So Esther was taken unto King Ahasuerus into his house, royal in the 10th month, which is the month of Tebeth, in the 7th year of his reign. And the king loved Esther above all the women. I bet he did, because she didn't come in there asking for nothing. Right? She came in there just with her straight beauty and with the favor of God on her. You see what I'm saying? I bet he was like, yeah, I like her. Yeah. And the king loved Esther above all the women. She obtained grace and favor in the sight of more than all the virgins, so that he set the royal crown upon her head and made her king instead of Vashti. See, that was his first queen, Vashti, right? So now we see Esther is queen. All right. So let's look at this. It's a reason why she became queen, right? Just like it's a reason why he favored the children of Israel. We got a job to do. You see? But let's look at this. Let's go to Esther chapter 3. Esther chapter 3. And we're going to do 1 through 6, and we're going to do 7 through 15. All right. Esther chapter 3, verses 1 through 15. All right. So we got Esther as queen right now. All right. Chapter 3, verse 1. After these things did King Ahasuerus promote Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, and advised him and set his seat above all the princes that were with him. And all the king's servants that were in the king's gate bowed and reverenced Haman, for the king had so commanded concerning him. But Mordecai, remember Mordecai is Esther's uncle, right? He's a Jew just like Esther, right? So these folks is bowing down to Haman, giving Haman his respect, his reverence, except for Mordecai. Said, but Mordecai bowed not, nor did he reverence him. Then the king's servants, which were in the king's gate, said unto Mordecai, why transgressest thou the king's commandment? Now it came to pass, when they spake daily unto him, and he hearkened not unto them, that they told Haman to see whether Mordecai's matter would stand. For he had told them that he was a Jew. See, that's all Mordecai said, right? He's the folks coming to him asking, man, why you ain't bowing down to the second right-hand man of the king? Mordecai like, man, I'm a Jew. Mordecai like, y'all supposed to know, hey, we don't bow down to idols. That's an idol. We don't bow down to men. Come on now. So the people like, well, wait a minute. What's going on? So they go to Haman. All right. Verse 5. And when Haman saw that Mordecai bowed not, nor did reverence him, then was Haman full of wrath. And he thought scorn to lay hands on Mordecai alone, for they had shown him the people of Mordecai. Wherefore Haman sought to destroy all the Jews. You see that? It wasn't all the Jews that did this, right? It was Mordecai letting you know that, yo, it don't matter what you do or how much you make or how much you don't make. When it hit the fan, they're going to lump all of us into one category. You see what I'm saying? I don't care if you Shaquille O'Neal or the homeless person. You or Oprah Winfrey or the beggar. You all Jews. You all Israelites. We all going to be lumped in the same demonstration. Just like he said, he looked to destroy the Jews. Middle of 6. That they were throughout the whole kingdom of Ahasuerus, even the people of Mordecai. Let's skip down to verse 7. We're going to do 7 through 15. In the first month, that is, the month Nisan, in the 12th year of King Ahasuerus, they cast pur, that is, the lot before Haman, from day to day, and from month to month, to the 12th month, that is, the month Adar. And Haman said unto King Ahasuerus, there is a certain people scattered abroad. You hear that? Scattered abroad. Even then, scattered abroad. All right. And dispersed among the people in the provinces of thy kingdom. And their laws are diverse from all the people. Neither keep they the king's law. Therefore, it is not for the king's profit to suffer them. If it please the king, let it be written that they may be destroyed. You see that? Decree to destroy all the Jews. All right. And I will pay 10,000 talents of silver to the hands of those that have the charge of the business, to bring it unto the king's treasury. Verse 10. And the king took his ring from his hand and gave it unto Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, the Jews' enemy. And the king said unto Haman, the silver is given to thee, the people also, to do with them as it seemed good to thee. Verse 12. Then were the king's scribes called on the 13th day of the month, and there was written, according to all that Haman had commanded in the king's unto the king's lieutenants and to the governors, that there were over every province, and to the rulers of the people of every province, according to the writing thereof, and to every people after their language. In the name of King Ahasuerus was it written and sealed with the king's ring. And the letters were sent by post into all the king's province to destroy, to kill, and to cause perish all Jews, both young and old, little children and women, in one day, even upon the 13th day of the 12th month. And that's what we're going into, right? When you look at the moon cycle, right? I know it says, what is this, March 22nd or 23rd, right? But this is technically the going into the 12th day. I'm sorry, the 13th day of the month Adar, right? The 12th month. We ain't gonna get into that, but this is why Purim is kept on this day, all right? Which is the month Adar, and to take the spoil of them for a prey. The copy of the writing for a commandment to be given in every province was published unto all the people, and they should be ready against that day. The post went out, being hastened by the king's commandment, and the decree was given in Shushan the palace. And King Haman sat down to drink, but the city of Shushan was perplexed. All right, so the decree is out. Destroy the Jews. All right, let's see what happened. Let's go to chapter 4. We're going to read 1 through 3, and we're going to skip 5 through 17. When Mordecai perceived all that was done, Mordecai rent his clothes and put on sackcloth with ashes, and went out into the midst of the city and cried with a loud and bitter cry, and came even before the king's gate, for none might enter into the king's gate clothed with sackcloth. See, this was not common. So Mordecai knew that if I go in front of the king's gate with sackcloth, and I'm gonna get noticed, basically. Skip down to verse 5, we're gonna do 5 through 17. Then called Esther for Hattach, because Esther's people seen Mordecai at the gate, went and told Esther what's going on. So Esther sent her people to Mordecai to inquire, Mordecai, why you dressed in sackcloth? So I guess Esther hasn't got the message yet, you see. So she sent these people to inquire why Mordecai is in sackcloth. So we have verse 5. Then called Esther for Hattach, one of the king's chamberlains, whom he had appointed to attend upon her, and gave him a commandment to Mordecai to know what it was and why it was. 5 through 17. So Hattach went forth to Mordecai into the street of the city, which was before the king's gate. And Mordecai told him all that had happened unto him, and of the sum of the money that Haman had promised to pay the king's treasurers for the Jews to destroy them. See, it's a hit out on us too. Not only did the king decree to destroy all the Jews, but you got a $10,000 hit out on the Jews. Yeah. All right. So we have verse 8. Also, he gave him the copy of the writing of the decree that was given at Shushan to destroy them. to show it unto Esther, and to declare it unto her, and to charge her that she should go into the king to make supplication unto him. Now we see why she was favored. You see? Out of all the Jews, right, she's the only one that has access, direct access to the king. And not only does she has direct access, she's the queen. So the king is going to listen to his queen, a wise king anyway, right? Verse 9. And Hatach came and told Esther the words of Mordecai. Again, Esther spake unto Hatach and gave him commandment unto Mordecai. So this is what Esther told her servant to tell Mordecai. All the king's servants and the people of the king's provinces do know that whosoever, whether man or woman, shall come unto the king into the inner court who is not called, there is one law of his to put him to death. So what Esther is saying, man, I can't just go in front of the king and just anytime I want to, hully gully. I can't go before the king unless I'm called. If I go before the king unannounced, I can get killed. What's going on here? Esther don't realize her favor right now. Esther don't realize that she was put in this place to do this very work. Just like a lot of us, right? We don't know that we favored by God. We don't think that God will take the time to favor us. We're gonna read a script, right? That says the total opposite. You see what I'm saying? When I seen it, I was like, wow, okay, this goes for all of us then, right? So Esther is battling with this, right? Now I can't go before the king, he's gonna kill me, right? Let's look at this. Middle of 11. Shall come into the king into the inner court, who is not called, there is a law of his to put him to death, except such to whom the king shall hold out the golden scepter, that he may live. But I have not been called to come into the king these 30 days. And they told to Mordecai Esther's words. Then Mordecai commanded to answer Esther. So this is what he responded back to the people to go tell Esther this. Then Mordecai answered to Esther, think not with thyself that thou shalt escape in the king's house more than the Jews. Message. When it hit the fan, right? When the real hit come out, when the Antichrist put the hit out, it doesn't matter if you're like I said, Shaquille O'Neal, Oprah Winfrey, Tyler Perry. It don't matter what type of status you're going to have. When the hit get put out, if you're claiming to be in alliance with him, the radar's on your back too. So this is what Mordecai is telling her. Don't think you're going to be safe in the king's house. All right. Verse 14. For if thou altogether holdest thy peace at this time, then shall their enlargement and deliverance arrive to the Jews from another place. What I was saying earlier. When it's some work to be done by God, nobody can stop it. It's going to get done. Whether you're going to do it or he's going to put somebody in your place to do it. This is what this lesson is about. Understand when you're being favored by God, you have a work to do. We all have a work to do. He didn't put this information and knowledge on you just to say, oh, look at my big house. Oh, look at my big car. Nah, man, we got work to do. All right. Will arise from another place, middle of 14. But thou and thy father's house shall be destroyed. And who knoweth whether thou art come to the kingdom for such a time like this? And he telling her, how you know you're not even being favored for this very time? You see? How you know you weren't put in the king's palace for this very time? All right, that's what he's telling. Verse 15. Then Esther bade them, return Mordecai this answer. Go, gather all the Jews that are present in Shushan, and fast ye for me, and neither eat nor drink 3 days, night or day. I also and my maidens will fast likewise. So what is she doing? Right? Making sure I get my relationship, making sure my relationship is right with God. Making sure my favor is in fact that for when I go before this king. You see what I'm saying? Just like we read in the very first verse. Law, statutes, and commandments is what brings forth favor upon you, right? So fasting is a commandment. What'd he say? Some things only come out through prayer and fasting, right? She said, likewise, also my maidens will fast and will go in unto the king, which is not according to the law. And if I perish, I perish. That's the mind state we should have. If I die doing the work of God, I'll praise it, because I know I'm gonna be up in that first resurrection. See, this being favored, understand what we dealing with here. Let's keep it moving. Let's go to the next one. Esther chapter 5. We're gonna do 1 through 8. Keep it moving. Esther 5, 1 through 8. Now it came to pass on the third day that Esther put on her royal apparel and stood in the inner court of the king's house, over against the king's house. And the king sat upon his royal throne in the royal house, over against the gate of the house. And it was so, when the king saw Esther, the queen, standing in the court, she obtained favor in his sight. You see, the Most High already knew. This is why he gave her favor in the beginning. When this decree come about my people to be destroyed, I put you in this place so you can go before the king. See? Being favored means you got a work to do. That she obtained favor in his sight. Middle of 2. And the king held out to Esther the golden scepter that was in his hand. So Esther drew near and touched the top of the scepter. Okay, we're going to verse 8. Then said the king unto her, what wilt thou, Queen Esther? And what is thy request? It shall be given thee to the half of the kingdom. So anything you ask me, I'm going to give you up to half of my kingdom. All right, that's what he just told her. Verse 4, and Esther answered, if it seem good unto the king, let the king and Haman, the enemy of us, right, come this day unto the banquet that I have prepared for him. And mind you, we didn't read this part, but Esther hasn't made the king aware of her lineage yet, right? The king don't know that she's a Jew. To let you know, we look like black folks, we look alike. You're not going to be able to tell that I'm a Jew and he's an Ethiopian just by looking at us. You see what I'm saying? So he don't know that his queen is a Jew yet. All right. So she done asked the king, can him and Haman come to her quarters for a banquet? All right. Verse 5. Then the king said, cause Haman to make haste, that he may do as Esther has said. So the king and Haman came to the banquet that Esther had prepared. And the king said unto Esther, at the banquet of wine, what is thy petition? And it shall be granted thee. And what is thy request? Even to the half of the kingdom, it shall be performed. Then answered Esther and said, my petition and my request is, if I have found favor in the sight of the king, and if it please the king to grant my permission to perform my request, let the king and Haman come to the banquet that I shall prepare for them. And I will do tomorrow as the king hath said. Then went Haman forth. Oh, no, that's verse 8. Okay. Yeah, we don't need to know all that. Let's go to the next chapter. See what happened. So Esther told the king, yo, I want you and Haman to come to a banquet I got for y'all. Right? This is my request. So the king said, okay, me and Haman will be there tomorrow. On time. We'll be there. So let's look what happened. We had chapter 7. We're going to do this whole chapter. 1 through 10. So the king and Haman, hold on, let me get a little squeeze right quick. Again, shout out to everybody that's online, man. In the chat, everybody's coming on. We being favored by God. It comes with the job to do. That's what we're talking about right now. Shabbat shalom to everybody that's online. Hope we getting some understanding. All right, so we had chapter 7. We're going to do this whole chapter 7 to see what happens at this banquet. So the king and Haman came to the banquet with Esther, the queen. And the king said again unto Esther on the second day at the banquet of wine, what is thy petition, Queen Esther? And it shall be granted thee. And what is thy request? And it shall be performed even to the half of the kingdom. Then Esther the queen answered and said, if I have found favor in thy sight, O king. Remember, she keeps saying that, if I found favor. Understand that, man. That's an important thing, finding favor in the sight of men. Because if you find, if my peers find favor, right, if I find favor in the sight of my peers, then that means that they're willing to listen to what I have to say. And if they're willing to listen to what I have to say, then, oh, yes, the Most High going to use you to do his work, because the whole deal is to bring folks to the Christ. So that's a good thing to be favored by your peers. But don't let that favor deceive you to thinking that it's all just you. Understand what that favor comes with and who's really giving you the favor. All right. Then Esther the queen answered and said, verse 3, chapter 7, verse 3. If I have found favor in the sight, O king, and if I please the king, let my life be given me at my petition, and my people at my request. See, now she's starting to tell the king who she is. For we are sold, I and my people, to be destroyed, to be slain, and to perish. But if we had been sold for bondmen and bondwomen, I had held my tongue, although the enemy could not countervail the king's damage. Then King, I don't know why I keep on messing this man's name up, King Ahasuerus answered and said unto Esther, the queen, who is he? And where is he? And I know Haman, boy, almost probably boo-booed on himself when he said, who is he and where is he? I know Haman was like, oh my goodness. Just thinking how we are, you know. Who is he and where is he that durst presume his heart to do so? And Esther said, the adversary and enemy is this wicked Haman. Then Haman was afraid before the king and the queen. And the king, arising from the banquet of wine, in his wrath, went into the palace garden. Haman stood up to make request for his life to Esther and the queen, for he saw that there was evil determined against him by the king. Then the king returned out of the palace garden into the place of the banquet of wine, and Haman was fallen upon the bed whereon Esther was. Then said the king, will he force the queen also before me in the house? As the word went out of the king's mouth, they covered Haman's head. and Harbonah, one of the chamberlains, and before the king, behold also the gallows 50 cubits high, which Haman had made for Mordecai, who had spoken good for the king, standeth in the house of Haman. Now the king said, hang him thereon. You see that? She had a job to do. You see? You take away the head that's trying to destroy the Jews, then boom, it's over with. Right? And if you continue reading this story, the Jews prevailed and killed about 100,000 of their enemies. You see? See, when you favored by God, you got a job to do. Esther had a job to do. Because if Esther wasn't in this spot, right, thousands or millions of Jews could have potentially been destroyed. You see? God works in mysterious ways, folks. You never know. That's why you got to have a relation with him, so that way you would know when he putting the work on you. Because if you don't know or you don't understand, you ain't gonna know that you got a work put on you. You're gonna think you just being favored just to get this job, just to get this bag. And that's what you're gonna say. Look at me, I'm favored, y'all. Look at my business. It's thriving. You see? Let's end this though. So they hanged, verse 10. So they hanged Haman on the gallows that he had prepared for Mordecai. Then was the king's wrath pacified. Not only the king's wrath, pretty sure the Most High's wrath. Because anytime you come up against his people, you coming up against him. All right? So that's one instance about being favored. Yeah, excuse me. Let's look at it. Let's go to Psalms chapter 30, verse 5. Then we're going to look at one more story. Make good time, good time. Psalms 30, verse 5. Psalms chapter 30, verse 5, and it reads, you know what? I'm gonna start at verse 1. I'm gonna read 1 to 5. I will extol thee, O Lord, for thou hast lifted me up and hast not made my foes to rejoice over me. You see, he didn't make his foes to rejoice over his people, right? O Lord, my God, I cried unto thee, and thou hast healed me. O Lord, thou hast brought up my soul from the grave, thou hast kept me alive, that I should not go down to the pit. Sing unto the Lord, O ye saints of his, and give thanks at the remembrance of his holiness. For his anger endureth but a moment, in his favor is life. Weeping endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. You see, that's what we got to remember, right? And I promise we're going to read the scripture to let you know that the whole nation of Israel is favored by him. You see? All of us. I think that was in that Psalm 41, right? That Israel conquered nations because they were favored. So that means you're just like Esther. You see? You can do a work for the Most High just the same way. I have no doubt that that's why he put his knowledge in you. That's why he gave you this understanding. So you can do a work for him. So you can potentially bring somebody else to him. Look at another. Let's go to Genesis chapter 37. Let's look at another child of God, or that was favored by God. One of our ancestors that was favored by God. Let's go to Genesis 37. Genesis chapter 37. And we only got a few more left, y'all. We ain't going to be long today at all. At all. So we have Genesis 37. And I'm going to do 23 through 38. 37, 23 through 38. Let me make sure this is. Okay, yeah. All right. So we had 37, 23 through 28, and it reads, and it came to pass, when Joseph was coming to his brethren, that they stripped Joseph out of his coat of many colors that was on him, and they took him and cast him into a pit, and the pit was empty. There was no water in it. Remember, we just read that Psalms that he raised me up out of the pit. I'll pray. And they sat down to eat bread, and they lifted up their eyes and looked, and behold, a company of Ishmaelites came from Gilead, and their camels bearing spicery and balm and myrrh, going to carry it down to Egypt. And Judah said unto his brethren, Judah said unto his brethren, what profit is it if we slay our brother and conceal his blood? Come, and let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, and let not our hand be upon him, for he is our brother and our flesh. So you think selling him is more? Anyway, I ain't gonna get on topic. And his brethren were content. Then they were passed by Midianite merchantmen, and they drew and lifted up Joseph out of the pit, and sold Joseph to the Ishmaelites for 20 pieces of silver. And they brought Joseph into Egypt. Just like we read, hey, you brought me up out of the pit, right? So reason. Let's look at this though. Genesis 39. Genesis 39, we're going to do 1 through 6. And then we're going to do 19 through 23. And Joseph was brought down to Egypt, and Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, captain of the guard, an Egyptian, bought him of the hands of the Ishmaelites, which had brought him down thither. And the Lord was with Joseph. He was a prosperous man. He was in the house of his master, the Egyptian. And see, that's why a lot of times, man, favor of God is equated with being prosperous, which of course is not. I mean, it is. I'm sorry. You know, if you're prosperous, yes, he has favor on you. That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is understand that that's not the end all be all, right? That's not the only reason that he's favoring you, right? You have a job to do. Understand that. We're going to look at Joseph, all right? And his master, verse 3, saw that the Lord was with him. And that's another thing. See, the people, it's probably a little different today because our God is not as respected as he was by the other nations back then. But people tend to say, you got a glow about you, or it's just something about you, you know? That something about you is the favor of the Most High God on you. That's what that is. Because you keep his law, statutes, and commandments, and you do his will. That's what folks see on you. Just like this Potiphar is seeing on Joseph. You see? And Joseph found grace in his sight, and he served him, and he made him overseer over his house, and all that he had, he put into his hands. And it came to pass, from the time that he had made him overseer in his house and over all that he had, that the Lord blessed the Egyptians' house for Joseph's sake. And the blessings of the Lord was upon all that he had in the house and in the field. Prophecy fulfilled. Remember he told Abraham, all that bless you, I'm going to bless them. So that's all that's going on here. All right. And verse 6. And he left all that he had in Joseph's hand, and he knew not aught he had, save the bread which he did eat. And Joseph was a goodly person and well favored. Now we know the story goes that the Potiphar's wife wanted Joseph to sleep with her and had him framed. Right? For time's sake, we ain't gonna go into all that, but we know she framed him and lied to her husband, said that Joseph tried to rape her. All right. So let's look at this. Let's go to 19 verses 23. Chapter 39 verses 19 through 23. And it came to pass when his masters heard the words of his wife. Remember, his wife came and told him, "Hey, man, Joseph tried to rape me, tried to sleep with me." The husband is believing his wife. All right. I'm going to read 19 again. And it came to pass when his master heard the words of his wife, which she spake unto him, saying, After this manner did thy servant to me. And his wrath was kindled. And Joseph's master took him and put him into the prison, a place where the king's prisoners were bound. And he was there in the prison. But the Lord was with Joseph and showed him mercy and gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison. You see that? Gave him favor in sight of the keeper, or what we would call the ward, or the guard, right? The guard of the prison got favor over Joseph. You see, there's a reason for all this now. All right. Verse 22. And the keeper of the prison committed to Joseph's hand all the prisoners that were in the prison, and whatsoever they did there, he was the doer of it. The keeper of the prison looked not to anything that was under his hand, because the Lord was with him. And that which he did, the Lord made it to prosper. All praises. So we see the Lord is with Joseph, right? But why? What is going on here? What's the point of this? All right. Let's go to Genesis 41. Like I said, we're not going to read this whole story. We just bringing out the points to show why why the folks was favored. All right. To show that you have a job to do. You're not just being favored, like I said, just to brag about it. You know, just to stick your chest out and be like, look at me. No, we got jobs to do, right? Understand that. So we had Genesis 41. Genesis 41, and we're going to do 1 through 2, and we're going to do a lot of skipping in this one. All right. So we had Genesis chapter 41. Now, mind you, real quick, just to give you context, since we're not going to read it, while Joseph was in there, the baker and the cupbearer got thrown into prison and had some dreams. Joseph interpreted their dreams, right? The cupbearer was let go. Joseph told the cupbearer, "Hey, man, when you get before the Pharaoh, let him know, man, I'm in here, I'm innocent. You know, speak on my behalf. You see what I'm on." Cupbearer said, "I got you." Of course, just like folks, cupbearer get out, says nothing about Joseph. So let's pick it up. Joseph's still in the prison. Chapter 41. And it came to pass at the end of 2 full years. So 2 years done went by, right? Since the cupbearer had been released and Joseph is in prison. All right. 2 full years that Pharaoh dreamed. And behold, he stood by the river. And behold, there came up out of the river 7 well-favored kine and fat-fleshed, and they fed in the meadow. All right. So Pharaoh having a dream. Remember, Joseph interpreted the dream of the cupbearer and the baker while he was in prison. Now the cupbearer's out, right? The same cupbearer for Pharaoh. He's out. Pharaoh's having a dream. So let's look at this. Skip down to chapter 8. I'm sorry, verse 8. We're going to do 8 through 12. And it came to pass in the morning that his spirit was troubled. Pharaoh's spirit was troubled because of the dream. And he sent and called for all the magicians of Egypt and all the wise men thereof. And Pharaoh told them his dream, but there was none that could interpret them unto Pharaoh. Then spake the chief butler unto Pharaoh, saying, I do remember my faults this day. Now the butler, okay, I'm sorry, it was the butler. I said the cupbearer, my fault, y'all. It's the butler that he told him to, speak speak to the Pharaoh on my good behalf. All right. So the butler is coming like, oh, okay, wait a minute. It's coming to the Most High is putting Joseph on the butler's remembrance now. All right. Then spake the chief butler, verse 9, unto Pharaoh, saying, I do remember my faults this day. Pharaoh was wroth with his servants and put me in ward in the captain of the guard's house, both me and the chief baker. And we dreamed a dream one night, I and he. We dreamed each man according to the interpretation of his dream. And there was there with us a young man, an Hebrew, servant to the captain of the guard, and we told him, and he interpreted to us our dreams. To each man according to his dream, he did interpret. All right, skip down to 15. We go to 15 through 35. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, I had a dream. So Pharaoh said, okay, go get this Joseph. All right. So the people go get Joseph, bring him before the Pharaoh. Clean him up real good and bring him before the Pharaoh. Then Pharaoh said and called, verse 15. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, I have dreamed a dream, and there is none that can interpret it. And I have heard say of thee that thou canst understand a dream to interpret it. And Joseph answered Pharaoh, saying, it is not me. And that's how we supposed to answer. Right? When people say, oh boy, you got good talent. It ain't me. That's the Most High. The Most High put these words in my mouth to allow me to rap like this. Oh man, your lesson sound good. Oh, it ain't me. This ain't me to put this together. Nah, that's him. You see, Joseph understand where the favor coming from. All right. God shall give Pharaoh an answer of peace. End of 16, 17. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, in my dream, behold, I stood upon the bank of the river, and behold, there came up out of the river 7 kine. 7 kine, we talking about cows, y'all. Fat-fleshed and well-favored, and they fed in a meadow. And behold, 7 other kine came up after them, poor and very ill-favored and lean-fleshed, such as I never saw in all the land of Egypt for badness. And the lean and all the ill-favored kind did eat up the first 7 fat kind. And when they had eaten them up, it could not be known that they had eaten them. Meaning, when the skinny cows ate up the fat cows, you couldn't even tell that the skinny cows had ate anything. They still were skinny. That's what he's saying. And when they had eaten them up, it could not be known that they had eaten them. But there were still ill-favored, as yet the beginning, so I awoke. Verse 22, and I saw in my dream, and behold, 7 ears came up, one stalk full and good. And behold, 7 ears withered, thin, and blasted with the east wind, sprung up after them. So now you got 7 good ears of corn, now you got 7 bad ears of corn. All right. Verse 24, and the thin ears devoured the 7 good ears. And I told this unto the magicians, but there was none that could declare it to me. Why couldn't they declare it to him? Because the magicians aren't favored, right? It's only one nation that's favored by God. Message. Verse 25, and Joseph said unto the Pharaoh, the dream of Pharaoh is one, meaning the 2 dreams that you had was one meaning. All right, it's one. God hath showed Pharaoh what he is about to do. Verse 38. We're going to do 38 through 45. Skip down to 38. And Pharaoh said unto his servants, hold on, wait a minute. I got to finish that. See, I'm jumping around, y'all. Forgive me. I ain't got my reader with me today. I'm jumping around. Hold on. Where was I at? It's 1. Behold. Hold on, y'all. Bear with your brother. I'm going to do verse 28 again. I'm going to do verse 28. Really? Hold on. I'm going to start at verse 27. Verse 27. Verse 26. Yeah, because I was in at 25, so I'm going to do verse 26, y'all. I'm going to start at verse 26, and we're going to go to 45. 26 to 45. The 7 good kind are 7 years, and 7 good ears are 7 years. The dream is one. And the 7 thin and ill-favored kind that came up after them are 7 years. And the 7 empty ears blasted with the east wind shall be 7 years of famine. This is the thing which I have spoken unto Pharaoh, what God is about to do what God is about to do, he showeth unto Pharaoh. Behold, there came 7 years of great plenty throughout all the land of Egypt. And there shall arise after them 7 years of famine, and all the plenty shall be forgotten in the land of Egypt, and the famine shall consume the land. And the plenty shall not be known in the land by reason of the famine following, for it shall be very grievous. What he say? He's telling you what's going on, right? When the time of famine come around, y'all ain't gonna even remember the 7 years of plenty, right? This is what he's telling them. Verse 32. And for that the dream was doubled unto Pharaoh twice. It is because the thing is established by God, and God will shortly bring it to pass. And that's also a message to us. If we having dreams like this, having them back to back like this, might be meaning, hey, you better get your thing together because it's coming. You see? Verse 33. Now therefore, let Pharaoh look out. Now therefore, let Pharaoh look out a man discreet and wise, and let him over the land of Egypt. And set him over the land of Egypt. Let Pharaoh do this, and let him appoint officers over the land, and take up the 5th part of the land, even in the 7 plenteous years. And let them gather all the food of those good years that come, and lay up corn under the hand of Pharaoh, and let them keep food in the cities. And that food shall be forestalled to the land against the 7 years of famine. What is he telling them? During the 7 years of plenteous, man, gather up all the extra, and we're going to put the extras up, so when the 7 years of famine come, we'll have corn to sell to the people. This is what Joseph is telling the Pharaoh to remedy this problem that he had. Now, mind you, Egypt at the time is the powerhouse of the world, so to speak. So if Egypt go under, the whole world go under. Just like today, if America go under or China go under, the whole world going under, right? So this is why the Most High sent Joseph to Egypt for work to do. All right. Verse 36, I'm going to do 36 again. And that food shall be forestalled to the land against the 7 years of famine, which shall be in the land of Egypt, that the land perish not through the famine. And the thing was good to the eyes of Pharaoh, and in the eyes of all of his servants. And Pharaoh said unto his servants, can we find such a one as this, a man in whom the Spirit of God is? So the Pharaoh understand, yo, this is the Spirit of God that gave this man this knowledge to do this. You see? So the Pharaoh is asking his people, who can we find with the Spirit of God on them to do this? All right. Verse 39. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, for as much as God hath showed thee all this, or you could say, for as much as God has favored you to show you this, right? For as much God has showed, okay, the middle of 39. There is none so discreet and wise as thou art. Ain't nobody wiser than you. Ain't nobody more discreet than you. That's what he's telling them. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, see, I have set thee over all the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh took off his ring from his hand and put it upon Joseph's hand. Just like the king of Persia put the crown on Esther's head. You the queen now. You see? Same thing kind of happening here with Joseph. All right. And Pharaoh took off his ring from his hand and put it upon Joseph's hand, and arrayed him in vestures of fine linen, and put a gold chain about his neck. And he made him to ride in the second chariot, which had, and he made him to ride in the second chariot, which he had. And they cried before him, bowed the knee, and he made him ruler over the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, I am Pharaoh, and without thee shall no man lift up his hand or foot in all the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh called Joseph's name Zapanath Panai, and he gave him to wife Asenath, the daughter of Potiphar, priest of On. And Joseph went out all over the land of Egypt. Let's get down to verse 46, and we're going to do 46 through 57. Finish it out. Yeah, I know I wrote that funny, y'all. Forgive me. This is just putting the lesson together. I was rushing. Forgive me, though, y'all. We're going to finish this on out. And Joseph was 30 years old when he stood before Pharaoh, king of Egypt. And Joseph went out from the presence of Pharaoh and went throughout all the land of Egypt. And in the 7 plenty of years, the earth brought forth by handfuls. And he gathered up all the food of the 7 years which were in the land of Egypt, and laid up food in the cities, and food of the field, which was round about every city, laid he up in the same. And Joseph gathered corn as the sand of the sea, very much until he left numbering, for it was without number. If you go in the book of Joseph and the Senate, you can read Joseph doing this, right? Going to the houses, gathering up the corn, all right? And Joseph, verse 50, and unto Joseph the years of famine came, which Asenath the daughter of Pati, Perea, priest of On, bare unto him. And Joseph called the name of the firstborn Manasseh, for God said, he have made me forget all my toil and my father's house. And the name of the second called he Ephraim, for God had caused me to be fruitful in the land of my affliction. Remember, weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. Verse 53. And the 7 years of plenteous that was in the land of Egypt were ended, and the 7 years of dearth began to come, according as Joseph has said. And the dearth was dearth was in all the lands, but in all the land of Egypt there was bread. And when all the land of Egypt was famished, the people cried to Pharaoh for bread. Look what Pharaoh told them. The people cried unto Pharaoh for bread. And Pharaoh said unto all the Egyptians, go unto Joseph, go unto the Hebrew, not only the Hebrew, but the Israelites, right? Go unto Joseph, what he said to you, do. And the famine was over all the face of the earth. And Joseph opened Joseph opened all the storehouses and sold unto the Egyptians. And the famine waxed sore in the land of Egypt. And all the countries came into Egypt to Joseph for to buy corn, because the famine was sore in all the lands. You see, this is why Joseph was favored, even though it looked dim, right? His brothers traded on him, right? Sold him into the Ishmaelites, sold him into Egypt, right? But all this was for a purpose, right? The Most High still had favor on Joseph because he had a purpose for Joseph to do. You see? Basically save the world at the time. We got 4 more, y'all. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 more. Psalms 44, 1 through 3. Did we already do this one? I think we did. Hold on. Yeah, we already did that Psalms 44. You're right. Let's go to Daniel. Daniel 9, 1 through 6. 6 through 9. Daniel 1, 6 through 9. Look at another favorite, right? Another person that was favored. And we got 3 more after this, y'all. If I can find Daniel. There we go. Daniel chapter 1. We're going to do 6 through 9. I'm going to start at verse 5. All right, this is the captives of the nation of Judah when King Nebuchadnezzar Babylon came through and snatched us up. All right. So we had Daniel chapter 1. We're going to do verse 5. We're going to do 5 through 9. And it reads, and the king appointed them a daily provision of the king's meat and of the wine which he drank, so nourishing them 3 years. At the end thereof, they might stand before the king. Now among these were the children of Judah, Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, unto whom the prince of the eunuchs gave names. For he gave unto Daniel the name Belteshazzar, unto Hananiah of Shadrach, and Mishael of Meshach, and Azariah Abednego. But Daniel purposed in his heart that he would not defile himself with the portion of the king's meat. You see, laws are still being played. You know, the portions of the king's meat, you know, they eating ham, pork chops, you know, lobster, shrimp, boils, you know, probably got monkey brains sitting up there. You see? But you see, but look what David did. He said, I ain't gonna defile myself with the king's meat, nor with the wine which he drank. Therefore, he requested of the prince of the eunuchs that he might not defile himself. Verse 9. Now God had brought Daniel into favor and tender love with the prince of the eunuchs. You see that? Keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, Daniel was brought into favor. Well, we know, we read the story, Daniel had a job to do. What was Daniel's job? To glorify the Most High, right? Interpreting the dreams of the king of the world at the time. You see? Let's go to another one. Let's go to Luke chapter 2. Luke chapter 2. Two more after this, y'all. Luke chapter 2. I know it's a short lesson today, but we already did some work today, some other kingdom work that we had to do for Purim today. So it had to be a short little lesson today. But Lord willing, we'll be back on the platform next week. Give you some more of this word. So let's look at Luke chapter 2. We're going to do 48 through 53. Luke chapter 2, 48 through 53. Real quick context of what's going on. Folks, just the Messiah and his family just went to Jerusalem for Passover for the feast. They just left. Noticed Christ wasn't with them, so they went back looking for him. All right. So we have Luke chapter 2. We're gonna do 48 through 53 or 52. I'm sorry. Yeah, Russian. I need to slow down. Verse 48. And when they saw him, they were amazed. And his mother said unto him, Son, why hast thou dealt with us? Why hast thou thus dealt with us? Behold, thy father and I have sought thee sorrowing. And he said unto them, How is it that you sought me? Wist ye not that I must be about my father's business? You see, work to do, the Messiah. But look at this. They understood not the saying which he spake unto them. And a lot of folks, that's how it be, man. A lot of folks might not understand the work that the Messiah or the Father has for you to do. It may be just for you. That's why dreams. That's why he talked to us a lot. The majority of the times in our dreams, because that's one-on-one time, man. Right? And the next person might not understand what he got for you to do. You see? Verse 51. And he went down with them and came to Nazareth and was subject unto them. But his mother kept all the sayings in her heart. And Jesus increased in wisdom and stature and in favor with God and man. I'll praise. In favor with God and man. Now we know the work the Messiah had to do. You see? Let's go to this one. Luke chapter 1. Flip back to chapter 1, then we're going to do 28 through 33. Luke 1, 28 through 33. And it reads, hold on, let me make sure I'm in the right point. Hold on, y'all. Hold on, bear with you, brother. What they say? What is wrong with what is wrong with you? Act like a man, female long hair. Say, not rebuke you. I ain't about to get into that. I ain't about to entertain that. Let me go ahead and give you my hair now. Let me go ahead and give you I ain't about to entertain that. There you go. There you go. All right, let's now. I gotta find my script, man. Okay, that's why I was still in chapter 2. Luke 21. All praises, Hebrew. All praises, brother. We got him. All right, so let me block this guy. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. We got to get a naysayer out. Hold on, y'all. Yeah, I'm putting him in here. Hold on, y'all. All right. I think he out of there now. Yeah, I think he out of there now. All right, let's get back to the lesson. So we're at Luke chapter 1, 28 through 33. Yep. All right, this is where we are. Yay, mad. Yay, mad. So yeah, Luke chapter 1. All praise, baby. Luke chapter 1, 28 through 33. And it reads, and the angel came unto her and said, Hail, her is we're talking about Mary, Jesus' mama. All right, that's what we're talking about right here. And the angel came unto her and said, Hail, thou art highly favored. The Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women. And I know this is where we get this from, man. Highly favored, right? But why was Mary highly favored? We know the work Mary had. She had to carry the Messiah, right? So we've been reading all through the flick that when you favored, you got a job to do. You see? Highly favored, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women. Verse 29. And when she saw him, she was troubled at his saying, and cast in her mind what manner of salutation this should be. And the angel said unto her, Fear not, for thou hast found favor with God. Now he's about to give her what she's about to be doing. And behold, thou shalt conceive in thy womb and bring forth a son, and shalt call his name Yeshua. He shall be great and shall be called the Son of the Highest. So her work was to carry in her womb the Son of God. Come on now. Come on now. That's a work to do. You see? Son of the Highest, middle of 32. And the Lord God shall give unto him the throne of his father David. He shall reign over the house of Jacob forever, and on his kingdom there shall be no end. All praises, man. So that's the work of Mary, right? Bringing forth the Messiah. And what? She was favored. She was favored by the Father. All right, last one. We're gonna look at another one favored, right? Kind of just talked about it in this verse, right? Psalms 89. Psalms 89. Psalms 89. All right. We're going to do 17 through 37. Psalms 89, 17 through 37. Let me make sure I'm in the right spot. I'm going to start at 16. So we're doing 16 through 37, and it reads, In thy name shall they rejoice all the day, and in thy righteousness shall they be exalted. For thou art the glory of their strength, and in thy favor our horn shall be exalted. You see that? In his favor, the horn of Israel shall be exalted. So that means if you're in this bloodline, then yes, you are favored by the Most High God. You have a work to do. Not to sit around and brag to folks how much you are favored. Nah. It's to get out there and proclaim his mighty name to the rest of the nations. Verse 18, for the Lord is our defense, and the Holy One of Israel is our king. For thou speakest in visions to the Holy One, and saidest, I have laid help upon one that is mighty. I have exalted one chosen out of the people. I have found David, my servant, with my holy. I have found David, my servant, with my holy oil have I anointed him. With whom my hand shall be established. My arm also shall strengthen him. The enemy shall not exact upon him, nor the son of wickedness afflict him. I will beat down his foes before his face, and plague them that hate him. You see, it's a job that David had to do, right? The Messiah came through his loins. That's what we just read in Luke, you see? And we should know that, even though we favored, Yeah, we gonna fall. We may fall. You know, ain't no may. Yeah, you gonna sin. You gonna slip up. You know, but it's a way that we handle that, right? We immediately come before Him and repent and make sure we don't do that thing ever again. You see, that don't mean that you're not favored though, right? You favored because so he show you where you go off at and give you space to repent. That's favor. You see, 22. The enemy shall not exact upon him, nor the son of wickedness afflict him. And I will beat down his foes before his face and plague them that hate him. But my faithfulness and my mercy shall be with him, and in my name shall his horn be exalted. And I will set his hand also in the sea, and his right hand in the rivers. He shall cry unto me, Thou art my Father, my God, and the rock of my salvation. And I will make him my firstborn, higher than the kings of the earth. Now we know who we talking about. First we were talking about David, but now we know who we talking about. David wasn't his firstborn. See, it's a lot of times David prophesied about the Messiah. You see, so we got to be we got to pay attention to what we're reading to understand who we're talking about here, right? He said, I will make him my firstborn, higher than the kings of the earth. My mercy will keep him from, my mercy will I keep for him forevermore, and my covenant shall stand fast with him. His seed also will I make to endure forever, and his throne as the days of heaven. See, we just read this in Luke. You see what I'm saying? This is what the angel told Mary. You see? Where was I? I'm gonna read 28. Is that what I was at? See, that's what happens, man, when you don't have a reader. When you look away and commentate, boom, you forget what you was reading that quick. I read 28. So I'm gonna do 27. 29. His seed also will I make to endure forever, and his throne as the days of heaven. If his children forsake my law and walk not in my judgments, if they break my statutes and keep not my commandments, then will I visit their transgressions with the rod and their iniquities with stripes. Nevertheless, my loving kindness will I not my loving kindness will I not utterly take from him, nor suffer my faithfulness to fail. My covenant will I not break, nor alter the thing that is gone out of my lips. So that thing about him being done away with Israel, that right there just killed that. He just said, even though, they forsake my law, they forsake my commandments, he said, my covenant will I not alter, the thing that is gone out of my lips. He said, nevertheless, my loving kindness will I not utterly take from him, nor suffer my faithfulness to fail. You see, we are favored as his people. You see, we've been accepted. Now it's on you to accept that. You see what I'm saying? Verse 36, his seed shall endure forever, his throne as the sun before me. It shall be established forever as the moon and as a faithful witness in heaven. All praise. That's the lesson. I hope folks was edified. I hope this made sense. When you get to think about being favored by God, I hope we got to understand it now that it don't just mean that you sit and just brag about being favored, right? I hope we got to understand it now that technically the whole nation of Israel is favored by the Most High, and the whole nation of Israel has a job to do. You see what I'm saying? And that's to proclaim his name to the rest of the nations. Yeah, you probably gonna be favored. You probably got a nice crib, probably got a nice car, 2, 3, 4 car garage, nice little bank account. Yeah, all praises. But don't let that deter you from the work that you got to do. You may be tired. You work all day at your one gig. You come home, you still got this work to do. Just keep that in mind, man. So yeah, that's the lesson, man. I hope it made sense. Hope folks got edified. And like I said, man, give shouts out to those on the feed, Sister Francesca, Sister Miss Bakes, Sister Danita, my big brother, Isaiah Israel. All praises, one soul of life, Yisrael, I'm sorry, I don't mean to butcher your name. Yisrael, Wazrael, all praises. My big brother Doc in the building. Who else is on here? Tuvi was on here. Shout out to Tuvi, man, was on here. And everybody, Isaac Israel was on here. Sister Shonda was on here. And those that didn't comment, that was just listening, thank y'all for even listening, man. I hope it made sense. Hope you know, like I said, you get a better understanding, man, of what being favored, your job, right? So I hope y'all enjoy the rest of y'all Shabbat. If I don't see you no more, happy Purim. Do your work for Purim. You know what? If hip to Purim, do your work for Purim, man. And I'll send a shout out to my saints down there in Tupelo. Y'all keep doing the work, man. I see y'all doing the work, man. Keep your hands to the plow. My brother down in Houston, keep doing the work, man. I see you, man. Keep your hands to the plow. My saints down there in Olive Branch by way of Memphis, Germantown by way of Memphis. Hey, love y'all, man. Keep doing the work. It's not going in vain. Folks is being touched, so let's keep it up. And I pray the Most High, strengthen y'all, man. So my other half ain't here today, so that's it. Enjoy the rest of y'all Shabbat, man. Shalom.
A lot of people got the Messiah, the Master coming back as this guy who's going to love everybody and rapture everybody off to heaven. That's not true. That's not the teaching of the Bible. The Bible says, that he does judge and make work.
All praises to the Father and His Son, the creator of the universe. Yeah, the giver of the laws and commandments, crucified for the sins of the whole earth. But y'all don't pay him no mind, y'all don't pay him no homage. I ain't tripping on him, y'all don't love him. Y'all too busy worshiping other guys, Christmas, Easter, Valentine. Yeah, y'all love sin. And these pastors ain't no help, they done closed up the doors to the kingdom. Matthew 23:13, tell me y'all some hypocrites, y'all ain't even getting in the kingdom. And that's real. I've been walking with the word, trying to get to know the word. Another word, I've been reading script. I have come to find out it's a different story when you understand the manuscript. It is false doctrines, all lies. Is it? Like going to heaven when we die. What else? Like eating catfish and pork rinds. That's abomination in the Lord's eyes. You gotta unlearn and relearn everything that you did learn about the Most High God of these scriptures, and you better do it before He return. Cause He ain't coming back to shake hands. Nah, kissing and hugging. No, He coming back to set the record straight. Come on, He coming back to pass judgment. Yeah, cause He ain't coming back to shake hands. He ain't kissing and hugging. No, He coming back to clear the controversy. He coming back to pass judgment. 7 trumpets, 7 vows. Right after Jacob see his trouble, it's coming. He said the whole world gon' bow. Whether you hate him or you love him, it's coming. You got a war, you ain't keeping His commandments, you gon' perish when He come back with His army and the sword. All judgment has been handed down to Him from the Father, and the title has been given Lord of all lords. You've been worshiping in vain though, cause you don't really know Him like you claim so. At the day of judgment, He gon' tell you He don't know you either. And to the lake of fires, where you gon' go? All you heathens and you Edomites. Yeah, Babylon gon' die that night. Talk a takeover, full overthrow. The man of sin, he gon' burn slow. What you know about blood up to the horse's bridle? He gon' call all the fowls of the air to come feast on the dead bodies, laying every word. You can read it, you been sinning, you ain't gon' be spared. I've been reading, you should get prepared. Yeah, I've been reading, baby, you should be scared. If you thinking the Messiah is a white boy with blue eyes and blonde hair, that's deception at its highest. He gon' judge you with the highest when you kick against the laws and the commandments. That's the covenant, I'm standing on it. 10 toes down, ain't no use in playing on it. You gotta unlearn and relearn everything that you did learn about the Most High God of these scriptures, and you better do it before He return. Cause He ain't coming back to shake hands. Nah, kissing and hugging. No, He coming back to set the record straight. Come on, He coming back to pass judgment. Yeah, cause He ain't coming back to shake hands. He ain't kissing and hugging. No, He coming back to clear the controversy. He coming back to pass judgment. And I saw heaven open, and behold a white horse, and He that sat upon Him was called faithful and true, and in righteousness He doeth judge and make war. His eyes were as a flame of fire, and on His head were many crowns, and He had a name written that no man knew but Himself. He was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood, and His name was called the Word of God. And the armies which were in heaven followed him upon white horses, clothed in fine linen, white and clean. And out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword, that with it he shall smite the nations. And he shall rule them with a rod of iron. And he treadeth the winepress of fierceness and of wrath of God Almighty.
Shabbat shalom, family. Enjoy the rest of y'all Shabbat. Love y'all.